and bring to the table. And now let's get the help we need from the professionals that can help you as well.
And then, like you say, PTSD. When you say PTSD, it's an ocean of things, but you're going to have to break down the point of PTSD in the community, or PTSD within the home, PTSD veterans, PTSD first responders, PTSD children, PTSD. And those are so many different dynamics. And then you have professionals. Even you have professionals who can only specialize in first responders, or who can only specialize in veterans. So
you're right. And that when you say that, I mean, like I said, for just to mention the fact, and this school has had some terrible tragedies. Midland Trail High School, in the past few years, they've had some terrible tragedies. Where kids have passed away on a couple of different occasions, right? But one thing you reminded me of is the fact that that day or the next day they had some counselors in there, man. Hopefully, I mean, it's a traumatic event. Don't get me wrong, but definitely trying to soften the blow from the future, and definitely, kind of getting out there, and I think that's great. I hate the fact that they had to do it, but I'm glad they did it as well. But that's why I said I want it to be more in a bigger scope, right? I want it to be more, people have, medical cards, people have, things that they can pay for mental health. As far as insurance and things like that, so they can pay for mental health. Let's get out there and let's do that instead of waiting until it's too late. And it's never too late. Don't get me wrong. I know it's never too late, but a lot of harm is done. As far as that, a lot of harm is done.
And then you hit the nail on the head. That even though we are out here doing this, or you have people that's bringing PTSD to the table, and then you get people that actually want and need the help, and then you start looking at the point of socioeconomics and finances.
Right.
So now who can afford, or who's Medicaid or Medicare is going to take care of, who's not going to take care of, or who has health insurance, who doesn't have. And then you start breaking down the facts of the matter. With health insurance, do they cover this aspect?
Right.
And if they don't, so now that's a whole nother dynamic of and it's sad to say, and it's really hurtful. You have, I don't know any area where you can get mental health help completely free.
And that's maybe something to look into, because that's something to look into. I do believe that, and I'm like you, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I think maybe, I'm assuming that, but maybe there is places.
I stand corrected. Go to prison, you can get. I mean,
well, that's not funny, but that's I mean,
you go to prison, you get help.
But why don't we
again
flip it around and I'm not saying to not get it there, but why don't we get it
outside
before?
Get it before,
before that.
And you hear that. I think the argument against offering universal health care, and especially for mental health care, is you hear the economical argument, but to me that's totally illogical, because we know scientifically how much, like we spoke about earlier, your physical health is affected by your mental health. So if anything, by taking preemptive measures to look out for your mental health, just like we do our physical health, that would only benefit these insurance companies. That
completely overall, and it's been studies shown that people who stress so much damage the liver, damage to the lungs, damage the heart. So just being super stressful, because now you become a different person. I mean, you not only do you mentally be unaware and in pain, but you're hurting your body and you don't even know it until it's too late. Now, why did he die for a heart attack? He was going to work every day. He was doing this. Well, you don't know if he was stressed. He could have been stressed about bills. He could have been stressed about his wife. He could have been stressed about his kids. And that stress continues away. It's almost like dripping water on a boulder. It was a big piece of rock when it started, but 10, 15 years down the road, you got a pebble. It's been swept away in the rain.
And so now that we're, kind of talking about this and like I said before, I think, that's the beauty of, when we talk, it's like we go so many different ways, but it's stuff that's really meaningful, really needed. So we go from, sometimes I know we talk about surviving, but then there's also moving into purpose as well after the survival, because there is there is that. I mean, I think, survival is necessary, don't get me wrong, but the goal is to thrive. The goal is to move on, not just exist. And this is, definitely after the pain or the trauma that you've had and kind of moving forward as well. And I think, you have to find purpose. And like I said, through mentoring, a lot of times, and what do I mean by that? A veteran mentoring a veteran. A survivor. We talked about that earlier. Survivor helping the survivor as well. Somebody's walked through it, and counselors, like I said, for who have overcome trauma as well. And that's the thing. But also community members that kind of they transform pain into service, and you have to understand these things. I was talking out there, to representatives of generations. Just it needs to be a collective of like I said, I just called him yesterday. I'm just telling you, man. I mean, just having people step up and come in a lot of times is a phone call away. I'm not saying they're gonna say yeah. I'm not saying it, but if they don't, let's move on. They may no harm, done. But I had heard him in my ear anytime I need something. Just call, and that means something to me. It does. It means something because, like I said before, this ain't about me. But if I got the people who, and he spent years in school, years in school, right? And now it's time to harvest, and when we talk about purpose and things of that nature, time, kind of spread that, to people who need to hear it. And I think a lot of people do need to hear it. And I do believe that.
And the more we talk about it, I think the more we do to remove that stigma. And I think with mental health, my humble opinion, that's step one. If we can get rid of that stigma and let's deal with our problems. And not even only that, let's have a checkup to see if there's any problems. Maybe we are fine, That's what we do with our physical health.
Breaking silence, try to touch it once a month.
Yeah.
Try to not just, okay, and forget about it. Touch it once a month. I'm gonna tell you though, just like a lot of subjects we approach, right? But this is just one of those that you gotta be on your P's and gotta get people on here. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that talking about career, that's like when we were talking about career paths, very important. This is very important, and this is one of the things you gotta handle it a little bit different, really, because you can't, it's not about me misspeaking. I do that all the time, not by on purpose, but I just do it all the time sometimes, right? But I don't want to steer anybody in the wrong direction, but I'm not afraid at all to pick up the phone and call somebody who's definitely knowledgeable in things that I'm not knowledgeable in, and come on and talk about these things, not pat myself on the back. I want people to know this. I want to get the word out. We get the word out so we can make sure we handle this. And then, like I said, PTSD month, didn't really know that until I looked and seen what is this month, what is, what are we, that's why. So I'm glad they're doing it. I really am.
Like you were talking earlier, having pamphlets and literature just around haphazardly, just because some people may not really know or understand what they're going through. And, and a lot of things that I learned doing residencies and stuff is the point of self-surveys. People do a pamphlet and add a self-survey into it, and it wakes them up, because you answer the questions, and then you got to go 3 or 4 pages down the road, and now they're going to give you answers to those questions. So, those types of things will put more people aware and give an opportunity to be aware that, hey, I've been depressed for the last 6 months, or I've been, anxious for no reason at all for the last 3 or 4 days, or, I'm really stressed and I might need to go ahead and talk to somebody. And even it may not be a professional, but I can call and say, hey, Mom, what you doing? Or hey, Don, let's do lunch, right. Just the small things like that can change someone from getting that spiral, because once you get in that spiral, their arms are too short to reach to the top, and if someone doesn't notice it, where does it go from there?
Right. I mean, I think you're right. Like I said before, I think, the more we get it out there, the more we talk about PTSD, mental health, right? Those things that, that people, those ain't nothing about it. Those things are, something we need to, bring to the forefront, not only for kids, not only for young adults, for adults as well. I mean, I think it is. I think it's a lot of people that, I'm not, listen, everybody, when they think mental health, they think, there's a psychiatrist, there's a psychologist. I didn't even know the difference. I really didn't. I thought they were both the same. No, one prescribes medicine, one does not. I mean, that's the thing,
One got 16 years of school.
and you're right, but both, have different
Right.
way. And I'm not saying, but have different ways of, kind of handling things as well. But I do, I think, I value both, like I said before. Value your time. Like I said before, I appreciate you coming on. This is stuff that, I'm really not done talking, but but we got to end the show. But it's not something, because I think it's fascinating more and more just to get the word out as well. I think, like I said before, just having, forums like this helps. Bringing more people on as well helps as well. I mean, like I said, I was willing to let you all do it. It's not about that, like, hey, I need to get on here and talk. No, we need to get it out there, the subject, and then we need to get the people in. So anytime you have anything, really, I mean, we can continue. Like I said before, you're knowledgeable in a lot of the mental health, sector as well. We do it once a month anyway. We trying to get a little better schedule. And we went to guests, like I said before, to also, just handling some of the, the topics that we've had, on here as well. And we will continue to. We definitely getting the youth involved as well, starting to get the youth involved as well. We have definitely an initiative that, definitely do a youth, with the topics they want to talk about. Had just a little trial run real quick and we can finish up. Had a little trial run and they were, minds. I mean, just brilliant minds. One talking about anime, and the other one talking about forgotten cartoon shows. But it's just a show. And I mean, I didn't even, when you say cartoon, I'm like, what are they talking? Because I don't even think they watch it, but they do watch them, right? And they do watch them, and they just, kind of talking about those things. This is what, we're here to do. We have a couple things for the summit coming up. Saturday at June 20th, Saturday from 12 to 2, we have a hot dog and barbecue giveaway. And it's going to, definitely roll out our TSK Pathways Prevention, for life, literacy for life. I think we're attacking both opioid, prevention plus literacy, and get, definitely, getting the word out about, we have to get serious about this reading, and then, definitely the disparity that we have in all. I mean, it's not cultural. It's really a disparity of a lot of people who struggle and are struggling to read and not bringing it up, and that's the thing. So
I was just telling them how, South Korea in the 70s was so far behind in everything, and now they're like number 5 or number 7 economically nationally because of universal healthcare, universal education, free education.
right.
But their literacy rate went from almost 30% to over 90% now.
Right.
So just a point of reading and then opportunity to getting into technology has changed the complete country.
Right. So that's like I said, I'm glad. I mean, that's always looking for different ways, to kind of increase those things. And that's the big, and that is a huge way. And that's what we're, trying to do here, as well, trying to help out, as much as we can, but also with partners, with the collective, right, of people that can help as well. So we have that going on the 20th. We still have the back to school August the 16th, New River Park. That'll be from 2 to 6. I believe it's Shelter 1. We have information now. We'll have more information as well. And we'll have more, events coming up, in the month of July. Just getting out there. I mean, it's summertime. Just getting out there and, definitely, going out instead of trying to come here all the time. That doesn't always happen, and that's okay. We're willing to come out as well. I want to thank you all for listening. And like I said before, thank you for listening to, like I said again, the Collective Konversations. Thank you.